Wouldn't that be fun? We could all do cone heads and all kinds of wild. Who is the reporter? Rosanna, Dana?
Yeah.
Rosanna. Oh, I want to see that. Cool. All right, friends, it's 5:30-ish. Everybody just got quiet. That was awesome. Now I feel super powerful. Welcome to the last. Yay, we did it. Yay. Oh, yay. Step 12. Yay. Good job, everybody. So we're going to talk about step 12. Thalia did an inventory a couple of weeks ago that we might get back to because I had more thoughts on it and I wanted to talk to you more about it. Okay. Thalia also has a poem to read. I would like to thank my husband Jerry, who's quietly sat back there. Jerry told me once that he's my PR man. Which cracked me up. I don't think I need one really, but yeah. But he's done such a nice job. And the good news is that the step 1 should drop on YouTube this week. So Jerry's also been editing the videos, and we are going to post them on YouTube. Here's how you're going to find them. So we also wanted to make you guys a gift. So these little folders are for you, and inside is every single musical. Every single musical reference that we had in the class, because I thought you guys might enjoy that. And then there's also the syllabus for the class. So each of the steps I did an outline for, and you're going to get all 12 of those so that you can reference them should you desire to do so. And a little notebook. This is for inventory.
I need a bigger one.
You know, we probably all need bigger ones. But I thought you could have the spirit of the writing that we've explored in here and get a feel for that. So before you leave tonight.
What about your poetry? Are you ever going to do a book or something?
I'd like some of my poetry is published. Okay. So you could Papa Google me, which we all know now simply means Google me. Alice Dugan Goebel, and you'll probably pull up some stuff. I didn't include the poems in this, but if you want copies of the poems, let me know, and we'll see if we can make that happen too. So hi Nancy, hi Mimi, welcome. So you missed the big announcement. There are presents for you guys. Make sure you grab one of these folders. They have the syllabus for the class and all of the musical references on CD. So those are for you guys.
Did you say
spread the word.
Is how we find it on YouTube?
Okay, good. Thank you, Molly. God bless you for having a memory still. So I'm going to call this the same thing on YouTube that it's called on the CD. And it's called Working the 12 Steps as an Al-Anon Using the Big Book of A.A. So that's on your CD if you go looking on YouTube. That first class should drop this week. And hopefully the rest of them after that.
Is it already on there?
Not yet. So we're going to drop step 1 this week. Jerry and I worked on it today, and it's about ready to go. So thank you very much for coming to the workshop. I have really enjoyed doing this. It's been great fun. So step 12, yay, exclamation point. The spiritual principles that I found referenced for step 12 are joy and service. I like that, right? Joy, an emotion evoked by well-being. By well-being, sort of the opposite of what we feel in step 1. Delight, great pleasure, jubilation, rejoicing. Happiness, glee. Service, the act of assisting, helping, or working for others. Okay? Step 12 is definitely a service step. So we'll see how this unfolds. There's a lot of, so in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, there's a whole chapter devoted to step 12. And a couple of the steps that we've talked about are just a couple of lines in this book. This has got a whole chapter devoted to it. And a lot of the information in this chapter, chapter 7, is very particularly about working with other alcoholics. Nevertheless, we don't carry the message to alcoholics. That gets us into trouble. You all remember that, okay? It's not our job. We carry the message to other Al-Anons, right? So I thought there was some pretty good stuff in here for us to reference. And then in the 12 by 12, the chapter on step 12 in that book too is pretty dense. So I'm going to read from AA's Big Book some points that I wanted to bring out. And then I think as we kind of move through the evening, you guys think about this, okay? We can read what's in the 12 by 12 that I've marked, or we could do some 10-minute inventories. Yeah, I think the inventory process is so critical that, Molly?
I do have lots of questions about step 12,
Ah, okay, cool,
actually. I don't know. I
nice.
don't want to object to everyone. I think inventories are good, but I'm working step 12 with a lot of people,
Oh, okay.
and I have a lot of questions about.
Well, maybe we'll just see how the night goes, and we'll see what happens. We've got 40 minutes. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. Hi, Ann. You don't have to be sorry. We're happy you're here. In talking about step 12, the second paragraph on page 89 says, life will take on new meaning. To watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. And I like the wording on that. Like step 12 is so important. Having had a spiritual awakening, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. That right here in the opening part of the chapter, it says, you must not miss this. And I happen to agree with that. When we work with others, it enriches and deepens our recovery in a way that nothing else does. Not anything. Not anything. So as you recover and as you have the opportunity to work with others and to help them understand the process of the steps, my sponsor told me, and I did this for a long time, his policy was that I say yes to everybody who asked me and I let God manage my time. It worked. You know, sometimes I didn't count my sponsees because I was afraid to. But it did work. Lately, I've had to start saying no a little bit, which doesn't make me very happy. But I think if you can do it at all, say yes to people. You know, offer them the assistance that you received.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So, I mean, I haven't started working the steps yet or anything, but I mean, do you feel like, do you believe that you can have, I mean, do you feel like you have somewhat of a spiritual awakening before you start? I don't know, I feel like myself, I feel like I've been spiritually awoken to a certain extent.
Awesome, Candy. Yeah, I would actually agree with that just watching you and talking to you. So, you know, the experience gets broader and deeper as we go through the steps. But man, you know, I was very afraid to do Al-Anon when I landed here, but I could hear that they had a solution that I didn't have. I could hear it almost right away. I could just hear it, right? And so I'm like, that was a spiritual awakening for me to understand that this group of people had something that could help me, right? And so spiritual awakening, you don't have to wait till step 12, right? I mean, I get spiritual awakenings the whole time I'm in the steps. And almost every time I work with somebody, you know, we sit in the room together and we kind of dig into this process. And man, it's so, I just can feel what I call the Spirit of God, the Spirit of love in that room with us. And it gives me, it heightens my intuition, and it makes me think of things that I wouldn't necessarily think of. So I think the whole process is about a spiritual awakening, and you should applaud that, because that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Okay, even though your protege, that's your sponsee, may not have entirely admitted his or her condition, he has become very curious to know how you got well, right? When people are doing really well, I'm like, I'm going to go find out what they did. Let him ask you that question if he will. Tell him exactly what happened to you. Stress the spiritual feature freely. If the man be agnostic or atheist, make it empathetic that he does not, or emphatic that he does not have to agree with your conception of God. That's important, right? We don't push people around about God. He can choose any conception he likes, provided it makes sense to him. The main thing is that he be willing to believe in a power greater than himself, and that he live by spiritual principles. Your prospect may belong to a religious denomination. His religious education and training may be far superior to yours. In that case, he is going to wonder how you can add anything to what he already knows. But he will be curious to learn why his own convictions have not worked and why yours seem to work so well. He may be an example of the truth that faith alone is insufficient. To be vital, faith must be accompanied by self-sacrifice and unselfish, constructive action. So that was kind of where I was when I landed here. I believed I belonged to the one true religion, right? And that was a problem for me, because I could hear things in the room that just sounded so right and so real and like it was working for people. But I told you guys earlier, and it's true, if anybody had tried to push me around about that religion, I would have run away. It took me a while, right, to get brave enough to question my own religious beliefs. So it's important not to push on that. Goes on to explain further, outline the program of action explaining how you made a self-appraisal, how you straightened out your past, and why you are now endeavoring to be helpful to him. It's important for him to realize that your attempt to pass this on to him plays a vital part in your own recovery. Actually, he or she may be helping you more than you are helping him. Make it plain that he is under no obligation to you, that you hope only that he will try to help others when he escapes his own difficulties. Suggest how important it is that he place the welfare of other people ahead of his own. Make it clear that he is not under pressure, that he needn't see you again if he doesn't want to. You should not be offended if he wants to call it off. Okay? I will tell you, friends, you can't wear your hearts on your sleeves about this when you're working with people, because people come and people go, right? And people can do exactly what they can do exactly when they can't do it, and not before then, right? So you can't take that personal. If your talk has been sane, quiet, and full of human understanding, you have perhaps made a friend. Maybe you have disturbed him about the question of alcoholism or Al-Anonism. That is all to the good. The more hopeless he feels, the better. Isn't that interesting? He will be more likely to follow your suggestions. So I'd like to talk a little bit about something that I see happening in Al-Anon at times, and probably in other fellowships too, where someone wants to work with us and they want to find out about the steps and they're in a lot of pain. You got to be okay with that, right? You have to. You have to be okay with the idea that we actually touched upon last week, that pain is the touchstone for spiritual growth. Pain is what pushes people to grow spiritually. I wish it was bunny rabbits, wouldn't that be awesome, right? But it's not. People don't take on this very difficult work without a compelling reason to do so. And it is not our job to relieve people of their pain. Hopefully, the process we bring to them, the solution in the steps, over time will affect them in a really positive way, and they'll feel better, right? They'll feel better. But when people are struggling emotionally, you've just got to be okay with sitting with that. You just have to. It's important as a sponsor. So it's not about making people feel better in the moment, okay? Sometimes that happens. That's fabulous, right? It's more about helping them to understand who they are, what they believe to be true, how it influences their behavior, and if it's fear-based, it can actually just run their life, whether they're aware of it or not, right? And that's delicate work, but to be able to sit with people who are unhappy is very important if you're going to sponsor others. Never talk down to an alcoholic from any moral or spiritual hilltop. Simply lay out the kit of spiritual tools for his inspection. Show him how they worked for you. Offer him friendship and fellowship. Tell him that if he wants to get well, you will do anything to help. So the other thing that I would like to mention is sometimes people do work in the steps and they'll get to a point where they've done a lot of work and they just need to take a break. Not a thing wrong with that, right? People might need to take a break. That's okay. I let sort of my higher power direct that for me. I work with people because I feel like it's what God wants me to do. And if people are not making progress spiritually, if we're not talking about steps and solutions, right? I don't do talk therapy. I'm not a therapist, right? I'm there to help them do step work, and the step work is a process for change. Sorry, I'm about to crack myself up. So over time, what I need to see, and it can be gradual, is that a person is moving forward in the steps and they're willing to embrace the idea that things are going to need to change. Things are going to need to change. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? And the Al-Anon definition of insanity is?
Doing the same
Nothing
thing over
changes.
and over, expecting different results.
Right. Do the same thing over and over and expect different results. Okay? Okie dokie. This is such a big chapter.
What page are you on?
I am now on page 98. And I'm on paragraph 2. Burn the idea into the consciousness of every man that he can get well, regardless of anyone. What? That's very good news, my friends. What I like to say about that is that when we want to be well, the universe lines up to help us. It'll send us teachers. It'll send us what we need to be well. The only condition, so there's a condition, is that he trust in God and clean house, okay? And that brings me back to one of my favorite things that I love to say to my sponsees. So sometimes people have really endured great difficulty in their lives, like great sadness, trauma, abuse, difficulty, right? But here's what I say about that. It's as easy for God to help that person as it is for him to help any person, right? It isn't tougher for God to help a person who's been deeply injured. It's just not, right? There's no degree of difficulty with miracles. And so we can go forward with confidence that what we're working on, if we're willing to tell the truth, work with somebody else, get clear about what we need to do and move forward, that it can happen for any person on the planet, I think, that really wants it. Okay? So that's a good point on step 12. This is such a long chapter. So one of the other things I've noticed is that sometimes Al-Anons, it's almost not noticeable, that's a joke. Sometimes Al-Anons carry great resentment toward alcoholics. I've seen it in meetings sometimes when an alcoholic comes to an Al-Anon meeting, and they're not made to feel welcome, right? We are careful never to show intolerance or hatred of drinking as an institution, right? You know, hatred never fixed anything, right? Intolerance never fixed anything. Our Al-Anon literature tells us that we're there to lend support to the families and friends of alcoholics, and even to the alcoholic, right? We're not there to judge or to be intolerant of anyone, and I think that's worth mentioning. And then the very last, so it's talking about being tolerant. Someday we hope that Alcoholics Anonymous will help the public to a better realization of the gravity of the alcoholic problem, but we shall be of little use if our attitude is one of bitterness or hostility. Drinkers will not stand for it. After all, our problems were of our own making. Alcohol was only a symptom, and we have stopped fighting anybody or anything. We have to. So I don't know about you guys as Al-Anons, but I had an element of self-righteousness and judgment that was pretty profound. And that just makes people feel bad, you know? That's not what we're here for, right? We're here to be of service. So those are the highlighted sections of Step 12 in the Big Book. We can read more in here, or we can open it up to discussion for a few minutes. Molly's got something to say. Knock yourself out, Molly.
Okay, so I have a several-part question. So I'm also in the other program, and what I heard in there is different than what I was taught early on, that you sort of pound into people's minds. You're going to die if you don't do whatever it takes.
Right.
You're going to die. And there's a difference in Al-Anon because it doesn't seem as acute. But I think that we've discussed in here that our Al-Anon issues can be as deadly.
Right.
But I find that many Al-Anons don't believe that. And I have several sponsees that I've gotten very, very far in the steps with. And we've covered lots of ground, and then they just disappear. And one, that's very hard for me to understand. I'd like to know what to do with that if I'm doing something wrong. And two, I worked the steps out of that white book, and I'm wondering if I should work them this way through the Big Book, if that's better. So those are some of my questions too. And sometimes I know that I've had sponsors that for example, that I have sort of drifted.
She's calling me out.
A little bit. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Where I have been a little bit distant, maybe in the beginning, and you did reach out to me.
Right.
And so when do I know to do that, and when do I know?
Good question.
To let someone go and say, I don't think you're ready. There's no judgment here. I'm gonna let you go. And when you're ready to do these requirements, you're gonna go to 2 to 3 meetings a week. Meet with me weekly. Then we can talk about it, because I do have sponsees that I feel utilize me when things are really bad, and then they feel really good after
And
that
then they go away.
and then they go away. And then if I have a real conversation with them, they get really, really mad.
Right.
And then don't speak to me, and I don't know how to best be of service in those instances.
Here's the good news and the bad news all put together. There's no rules for this. There's just not. What I relied on with you, like that first day when I came and sat down next to you on the couch. You remember that day?
So, yeah.
What I rely on is direction from my higher power, right? So it's not about having the perfect formula or doing it just exactly the right way. It's more about making sure that I'm neutral. I don't have a dog in their fight. I don't need them to be well. I don't need them to come back. And I'm not afraid, so I'm open and I can hear the right thing to do. Like that day, you were really in bad shape, and I could feel it. And God actually told me to go sit down next to you and put my arm around you. So I did.
You saved my life
Yeah. So it isn't about a rule. It's about being neutral about other people's stuff so that I can hear what God has to say and be of service to them. And if I'm not neutral, I need to get neutral, right? If I'm not neutral, I probably have some writing to do, right? I may need to talk to my sponsor. I may need to bounce things off someone else. I will tell you that of the people that I work with, and God has allowed me to work with a lot of people, I would say maybe 20% make it all the way through. And that might be optimistic. And I think what happens is whatever work we do counts. Like maybe they're just too scared to go forward. Maybe the timing is wrong for them. Maybe they have too many other things going on in their life and they just can't take on sort of doing this work and really accessing the real power in it. Like there's power here, friends, and accessing that is scary, right? And it can be intimidating to people. So I always, too, when somebody goes, I usually will say to them, I get it, take a break. Take a break. My door's open to you. If you want to come back and work with me again, we'll do that. We'll do that, right? I said that to Kate. My door's open to you. You know, when you're ready, come back. Because then that helps them to know that it's not personal and that there's no hard feelings, right? And then, you know, I trust God again to manage my time so that if someone does want to work with me and I'm the right person for them, that somehow or another we'll make it work.
So question, somebody's sponsor goes away and the person is like in the middle of the steps and would ask a sponsor, do you begin at the beginning or?
I at least want to refresh because not everybody works the steps the way that I do. And if that person lost their sponsor in step 4, I kind of want to make sure that they've got a really good foundation for 1, 2, and 3 under them before we move forward. So I try to find out a little bit about what their experience with the steps was, just to make sure that they've got on their asbestos suit before we walk into the furnace together, right? Was that helpful, Molly?
That was very
Okay,
helpful.
cool.
I have had 2 people, both of whom I had sponsored, one for over 2 years, one for over 1.5 years, who one at the 9th step and one at the 4th step. But all hell was breaking loose in their life that involved their being deeply involved. And so I said, take a break. I did that, and I'll be here. But I have discovered that one of my character defects with my children and others is I tend to pursue people. So I have allowed myself 1 phone call to each just to check in, but I want them, I think they know by this time that I'm there for them, but it's difficult.
Yeah. It can, there's a lot of time and effort and emotional involvement when we work steps with someone. We know things about them that, they often haven't told another living soul, right? So what I would say about that, if the breakup is difficult and
Or
emotional,
separation. I don't
Yeah.
really think of it.
separation is a good word too. If it's difficult, let yourself feel that. Go ahead and be sad about it. Go ahead and have all the feelings you want about it, right? And allow them the same.
When you said they can't get well no matter what, I think that's really important to tell them that. I had a sponsor that when I was trying to get sober, I lived in Conifer in a 1-room cabin, and I was all by myself. And it was difficult. I was working 4 jobs to get by. But I kept saying, the only way I can make, really be happy is if I'm with someone. I was all by myself. And she was married, and most of the people I knew were together. And I really wanted that. And I kept emphasizing that I'm alone. I'm not going to be able to do this. And she kept saying that you can get better no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's probably better that I was single.
There can be some real advantages to not being in the middle of a relationship when you're doing this kind of work, right? Yep. Good. Good discussion. 6 o'clock. La la la. So the last 3 songs on your CDs are Lullaby by the Dixie Chicks. The refrain in that is, how long do you want to be loved? Is forever enough? Is forever enough? Windows Are Rolled Down by Amos Lee. Anybody know that song? Windows are rolled down. Yes.
Love that song.
I love that song. Barb knows him too. Yeah.
I've seen him 3-4 times.
All right. Well, you have to leave now because I have not.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's great. So, and then the last one is Baby Mine by Alison Krauss, which is the song Dumbo's mother sings to him. And like, to me, that's how I feel like God feels about me, You're not much, goodness knows, but you're so precious to me, sweet as can be, baby of mine. And that's how I feel like God feels about me, which is so comforting. Because I went from kind of this vengeful God that was going to kill everybody. I don't know why that appealed to me, but whatever. To this God that just, he's incapable of doing anything but loving me. Like, love is God's job. If you feel judgment, if you feel not good enough, if you feel condemned, that's not God, friends. That's your own thoughts and beliefs. God's job is to love us, and that's all. And that's all. So hopefully, yeah, I love that song. So hopefully you'll enjoy those last 3 songs on the CD. And then I have a poem for you guys that I brought that I thought I'd read. Jerry and I went. Everybody, do you guys know where St. Elmo is?
Yeah.
Yeah, St. Elmo.
Ghost town.
Yes. Yeah, it's above Mount Princeton. Way up. It's a ghost town. Cool. I wrote this poem. Yeah. So we went hiking up there, and I refer to my husband as Antelope Man, which there's a story behind that, because we were going to go over to southwestern Colorado one day, and he goes, maybe we'll see some antelope. And I was like, the antelope are in Africa. There's no antelope in Colorado. He said, yes, there is. And I said, how do you know that? You've never been this way either. How come you know that and I don't? So I started referring to him as Antelope Man because he just knows things. It's amazing.
Fair play, too.
Oh, we did see antelope. There they were.
Africa.
African antelopes in Colorado.
Yeah, who knew? Who knew there were antelope in Colorado? My husband did. Anyway, we went hiking way up above St. Elmo this day, and there's an old mine up there, the Mary Murphy mine, and we hiked all the way up to it, and all the equipment was still up there, and we went into we shouldn't have done this, but we were having fun. There was a huge sorting shed where they used to dump the rock to sort it to try to find gold. It was a gold mine. So anyway, this poem is called Courage, she said to the lingering ghosts. St. Elmo's fire September lit her way through Aspen. Miles above town, a timbered shell stands, angled chutes, platforms, where rock was dumped, divided, and spit downhill. Iron carts entered and tipped a load. Men with hard heads and leather hands worked here when the century was turning on its axis. A steel wheel hangs at the same angle as the flat roof, its teeth cogged with metal thumbs where rocks roared. Cable ran pulleys, made the mouth chew, tasting for something bright, nearly weightless. The towers did not follow the road up the road as she had to the Mary Murphy mine. They stepped up the mountain, a straight line from leaching pools, miles deep in the valley, over hillocks and boulders, trees down to open the way. They stand still, like capital A's, leaning on each other's backs. The steel rope that sang and circled the tower tops lies coiled, rusted in piles like the abandoned train lines snaking the valley floor. Hard rock miners rode up in ore buckets, walked down at night to sleep 8 to a cabin. The cabins have heaved in on themselves like miner streams. They worked themselves into poles and picks. The dust they dug for dusted them. Climbing down the loose gravel beneath the sorting shed, she turned her ankle, heard 2 cracks like bone whips in her leg. Hard high leather held her foot. She crumpled, leaned back, and saw shimmer around her. Testing the ankle, she stood, hiked 3 miles out, made heart-shaped leaves glittering the trees into badges of bravery. Dewdrops glint like gold ore, small suns pinned to her chest in weightless wonder. She carried herself down on her own shoulders. Breathless with courage, she limped toward the jeep, cold water and snacks, hoping for some bruising, some swelling, a story to tell. So, friends, we carry ourselves down the mountain on our own shoulders, right? We grow some courage, we get a life, and we let it happen. We let it happen. So that's the poem I brought you. So I think I would love to leave maybe 10 minutes, just 10 or 15 minutes for you guys to reflect. Most of you have been here several times, if not all the times. Sorry I didn't track that better. But y'all look familiar, so I think you've been here for a minute. So I'd like to save some time for that. And then I wanted to talk about this inventory, Thalia, that we did with you a couple weeks ago.
Right. And I thought some more about it.
Good.
I'm
Are you free of it?
totally free. And I would love to
Cool.
see her. Just to see her and see what my reaction would be. But
Good.
I haven't.
So thank you for confirming what I was hoping you would confirm.
Yes.
If you would have said, no, it all still sucks, I would have been
No.
like,
No.
you should maybe rewrite
And
this.
I've been saying that prayer.
Good.
About a lot of things. I mean, it's such a fabulous prayer.
Good.
To take away that fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just. I felt really good this past couple weeks.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, really
So,
good.
friends, that's what we want to see, okay? If we do an effective piece of inventory with our sponsor and we really get clear about what's going on, and instead of asking God to make me behave better, which I suck at behaving better, it never works for me, what I ask God to do instead is take away the fears that have been activated by what happened and show me how to live differently.
And another thing on that, the historical part.
Yes.
When I was a child, I got sick for attention.
Oh,
And
I did
got
too.
A lot of attention.
I did too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I was thinking about.
Kids are so creative.
Thinking about that. Oh yeah.
They'll get their needs met one way or
Exactly.
another,
I
right?
even remember putting a thermometer by a heating pad so much. I mean, it went way up, but my mother had.
You have a temperature of 112. You're dead.
Just
Yeah.
pennies under your tongue. There were all sorts of tricks
That you could do.
get fever.
Good, Thalia. So one of the things I wanted to mention is, for those of you who weren't here, Thalia had a friend who found out that she's got some significant health problems going on, and kind of said to her something like, "You're not going to be okay. You're in denial." and Thalia was kind of holding this faith that she was going to be okay. And this person said that Talia felt that she was delusional about her sickness, that she needed this person to validate her, that her truth was not supported. Her part was expecting this lady to be different. People are who they are, friends. And they're going to do what they do. There's no control over that. The fear was that this lady was right, that she's really not going to be okay, right? And then it linked to her childhood. And you said that your mother had an inflated response to you being sick?
Yeah, and if I'd get hurt or anything, I mean, it was like the hysterical.
End of the world syndrome.
Exactly.
Good. So what we found out here in the fear inventory, here's the fear, I'm not okay. Here's the reason for it, okay? A couple things happened in Thalia's childhood that were significant. One, she got sick to get attention, and two, she had a mother that had a very inflated, dramatic response to her being ill, right? Well, that's what got bumped by this woman, okay? This woman had an inflated response to Thalia being ill, and it took her right back into her childhood fear that she wasn't going to be okay, right? That she's not going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. And then self-reliance, pretending, being defensive, expecting others to be different, right? And then this was the prayer that we came up with. Really, our fears that anything can harm us need to be taken away from us, right? We're human beings. We're going to have a human experience. Kate saw a bumper sticker this week that said, "Relax, everybody dies." I want one. Right? So we need our fears taken away that something can harm our faith or harm us permanently, right? And so you heard her say that it was very effective. Yeah. So when you're working steps with people and you're doing inventory work, if you hit upon it, then this would be what we would expect to happen. That she would suddenly be able to change her mind about what was going on, become neutral about this other person, mind her own business.
And my faith just gets stronger and stronger.
Nice, Thalia.
You know?
That's
Seriously.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can keep that in mind too. Okay, now we have 15 minutes left of our last class. Does anybody want to do an inventory? So the first part is the resentment. So who made you mad? You can make up a name if it's me. You can make up a name.
I haven't thought a lot about this, but it's kind of gone on for a while.
Good.
And
Okay, so whose name are we putting in the first column?
so, my daughter's godmother, call her Donna,
Donna.
and which isn't her real name, but it's Donna.
No.
Here. Okay, so she. I gave her what I consider to be an honorable position of being my daughter's godmother, and this was years ago when I gave her that opportunity. The woman couldn't have children.
Okay.
She couldn't have girls. She only had boys, and she really wanted to have a girl daughter. And I thought, well, I'll just let you have, you be the godmom. Well, she never really followed through with any kind of effort.
Okay.
To my daughter at the very beginning, but then after a number of years she really dropped the ball, and so I had expectations of my daughter having this close relationship to this woman, and in all of that she withdrew her friendship from me as well. So there's kind of a weird thing. I gave her this opportunity to be close to a little girl. She didn't have a daughter. She wanted to have a daughter, but I had the daughter, right? And then in all of that, over a number of years, she withdrew a friendship from me and from my daughter. So basically, I saw her a few weeks ago, And she was still angry about something that I have no idea why. So, is it too broad? I guess
No.
Okay.
No, I think it's good.
And I always reach out. I always reach out, and I hung in there with her. She kind of was able to talk a little bit. And then what I did, because she works at the school my daughter used to work at, or go to school at, is I gave her a quick call to say it was great to see you.
Okay.
I actually called her. It was great to see you. If you want to go get coffee sometime, it would be great.
Okay. Good.
She never called back.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's all that. So,
Good. It's a nice juicy one.
Yeah.
We like juicy ones. Okay. In the third column, Mamie, we ask how you're affected. And so security is I need or I needed. So as briefly as you can, what did you need? Or in the past, what could you say you needed from her? I needed what?
well, I mean, the thing that's coming up is I needed her to, I don't know, I needed her to understand that I really gave her a gift, I thought, to be
Okay.
a godmom.
So to appreciate the gift?
Yeah. Of giving her this role to be a godmother to my daughter.
So you need her to appreciate the gift of the role you gave her. What else?
And in all of that, I think she should, you know, be a friend and be kind and, you know, I did what I thought was a good friend kind of a thing, and she's never been a good friend to me. And I don't know why I made her mad. She never shared it with me, but she obviously acts very cold to me.
Okay. She should be warm.
What about I need her to tell me why she's mad?
Do you have any ideas why she got pissed at you?
Well, I think she's jealous because I have a daughter and she doesn't.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Okay. So we try to stay very concrete in the inventory because, you know, we get going in my imagination and it could really get weird.
Right.
So we try to stay pretty concrete. I am what? So when you're around this woman and she behaves the way she behaves,
Yeah.
what do you believe to be true about you and maybe your daughter?
Well, I believe she loves my daughter, so it's more about, I believe that she, well, I just want to, let me think. Maybe it's me, I want to fit in. She always seems to be a part of the group and.
Good. So I need her friendship to fit in.
Yeah.
Good. That's a good one. I need her friendship to fit in. Now, if that's true, when she rejects you, how do you feel? I am what?
I am so hurt, actually.
Yeah.
I end up being very, very hurt.
Why? Because it makes you feel what?
Like I don't matter.
Perfect. I am of no worth to her. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Now we start to see why this is so difficult. I am of no worth to her. Okay? Now, what are you afraid of? If this person rejects you, she's not kind to you, she's not kind to your daughter, what do you believe is going to happen?
Well, I think, because it's been so long, it's gone on for so long. I don't know, let's see. Well, I mean, I guess we would part ways and I never see her again.
Okay.
That's what's coming to
Good.
mind. Someone that I've cared about.
I am afraid, AFR, gets late, I can't spell, of the loss.
I mean, there must be something.
Here.
I even reached out a few weeks ago to see if she wanted to go to coffee, and she never. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Just keep trying.
It's a broken relationship,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's broken.
and I don't know why.
Good. Now, in the fourth column, we say, where have I been selfish, self-seeking, dishonest, or fearful? Okay? Now, I'm just going to suggest some stuff. Don't agree to anything that doesn't resonate with you. Okay? Say, no, that's not it. You loser. Find something else. If someone treated me like this, I would believe that they should be different so that I would feel better. Like she should get her shit together and be a nice person to me and my daughter and include me so that I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So that she would see that I really am the good person that I know that I am. How,
Good.
you know.
So good. So here's another one. I need her validation. That's what you just said. Right? I need her to validate me. Okay? Now, ultimately, Mamie, if I need another person to be different so that I feel better, it is selfish, right?
Okay, I see that.
Okay? So, selfish. So we've talked a lot in this workshop about unconditional love.
Yeah.
When I love somebody unconditionally, I love them exactly as they are.
Okay.
That's my job, right? Okay? So you can see that there's some self-serving stuff going on here, right? Okay? It's probably, so it may be a little dishonest for you to be putting this much weight on this one relationship, and it's been problematic for years. So this is what Al-Anons do. I'm going to keep knocking on this door, and I'm going to ask you to please give me, I need, have you guys seen What About Bob?
Yes, yes.
Oh my God. I need, right? Gimme, I need, right? So that's dishonest in a way, because when I really love myself, trust the universe, and trust God, guess who I go to for love and affection?
People who can give it to you.
People who can give it to me. You be quiet. People who can give it to me. Right? Right? So it's you're what we say, knocking on the bread door.
Nobody's home.
And you're begging for milk.
Oh.
We're going to the car like to buy groceries.
Yeah, begging for milk. Like, it's a very advanced spiritual kung fu thing to only go to people for love and affection who can give me love and affection. And then what do I feel? Love and affection, right? When I go to somebody who doesn't have it and I demand they give it to me, really, there's something about that that's serving me in some way. It used to make me feel self-righteous. This is just me. Better than, on the lofty spiritual road. I'm better than you are, right? I'm kinder than you are. I'm more loving than you are.
Or
You know.
I'm a victim and I'm a martyr. 'Cause
Yeah.
of how nice I am and you're a bitch to me.
Right, good.
That's what I do.
So,
Wanting to be unhappy or validating my own unlovability.
right. So if we on some level believe, if there's a tiny piece of us that believes we're unlovable, it's the universe's job to show us we have that. Why? So we can get rid of it. That's why.
Okay.
Right? So the universe is designed, it's a great big mirror. It's going to show me exactly who I am. And sometimes that news is so good I can't hardly, it's crazy. I love it. Sometimes the news is not so good. Right? You guys heard me talk about my coworker and how she triggered me, right? That's not about her. It's about me, right? Okay? So you could have some victim energy here. Victim, hero, perpetrator. And I heard all three actually. You're the victim because she's mean. You're the hero because you're trying, right? You keep knocking on the door. She's the perpetrator because she's hurting your feelings. Okay?
Well, even the gift itself was an act of being a hero. I mean, she didn't have daughters.
Right.
She wanted daughters, and so
You could have been doing a little hero there by offering her your only begotten offspring.
Word conversation. It wasn't. I just was like,
Yeah.
oh, you want to be my
Yeah, and you got a really soft energy to you, maybe, and a really kind energy, so I believe that. Okay? So in the fear inventory, What am I afraid of? Where did it come from? Current and historical. Usually there's a historical. It's where the real boogeyman lives. So this is the fear inventory. This is how self-reliance has failed me. And this is what God would have me know about this mess. So what are you afraid of?
Nothing.
You're excused then. You don't need to be here. I hear a lot of I need to fit in, I'm not worthy, I'm gonna lose, I'm not okay. Like there's something about this that makes you feel like you're not okay.
Well, you know, she's a part of the group of parents that were always in, and I was just different. A single mom and working all the time. I was never fit in. So anyway, she's kind of a part of all of that. She represents, you know, kind of a way in and a connection.
Good, Mamie, very honest. So you're rejected and unlovable if she rejects you and doesn't like you,
Yeah,
right?
and all the others that were her.
Good.
Yeah.
So I am rejected and unlovable.
Another one that comes up for me a lot is there's something wrong with me.
Oh, I'm not okay. Perfect. I'm not okay. Something wrong with me.
You could do a different fear inventory for each of those, right?
You could.
Okay, not necessarily.
Well, this is 10-minute inventory.
No, I know.
If you're in the 4th step, and this is kind of your stuff, I would do a separate inventory on every single one of them because the universe is going to help you, Mamie. It's going to give you information you need to have to be different, right? In the 10th step, when we're doing 10-minute inventories, the goal is kind of to get through it. But that's because we already did the deep dive.
Right, so you get kind of unblocked. For
Right.
Just a little, yeah.
So this would probably be somewhat of a repetitive inventory if we were 10-stepping it. Now, how does self-reliance fill you? So here's the question I ask here. When I am in these fears, I am rejected and unlovable, I'm not okay, there's something wrong with me, what not so lovely behaviors do I pull out to try to manage it? Got any
A
thoughts?
smart ass.
Huh.
No, I don't know.
Try and get her back as a friend.
I think the fact that you keep returning to her,
I was just gonna say.
perfect.
Even
Good.
a friendly invite to coffee. It's called manipulation.
It really is. Who said that? It is a form of manipulation. You're trying to get her to make you feel loved and okay. Yeah, okay? So I keep returning.
People are capable of doing that. I have that in my family.
Yeah, ultimately, Mamie, it's about not going to people for love who can't give it to you,
Yeah.
right? Like this is an important skill to have because humans need love. They need affection, right? So when we get to the God column, we did that pretty darn quick, which is nice. When we get to the God column, the prayer should have 2 parts. The first part of the prayer, like in Thalia's, take away my fear that my sickness can harm me, okay? Yours would be take away my fear that if Donna rejects me or doesn't like me, that it means there's something wrong with me. Take away my fear that I'm unlovable as a human being.
Okay.
Take away that fear and then show me how to find the people that you are going to put right in front of me to love me, right?
Yeah.
Right? Show me how to find those people.
Okay.
Put them in front of me.
Yes.
Huh?
That's a God
That's a
idea.
lovely prayer.
Yeah.
That's a God idea. I had the same thing, and I prayed for that too. Bring me to the people that can be my friends, and not you chasing the ones that
Yeah.
are unavailable.
Now, this fear that you're not okay comes from your childhood somewhere. And then show me how to find love.
How to what?
How to find love in people, people who
That's
can
scary.
really love me. Now, we skipped a column because I got so excited. That happens. The current reason for this fear is simply what's going on with this lady. So I'm going to give you a task, and I'm going to want you to get back to me on this, okay? There's a historical reason why you feel unloved and not okay. And it's important to understand that, right? Because that lady is bumping up against something in you that's still there. It's probably from your childhood, okay? Yeah. So the next time we intersect, I want you to tell me about that. And then I want you to try this prayer, right? Try it.
I'm gonna try it.
Try it, Candy. Why not?
Can I say something?
Yes.
So I know we did that fast, and a lot of us like spoke for you, maybe. And I find that when I'm working with people, it's important to get them to say the words.
Yeah, that's
And,
true.
You know, just in case you're triggered at all, like a lot of us, this is what comes up for us in these inventories. That's why we can say it. You know, it's because this is what comes up for me in like every inventory is I'm going to be rejected or abandoned, and I'm not good enough, and people are confirming that. And so, you know, when people go through this, I want them to know you're not alone in feeling that way.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean here in this room at this
Yeah.
moment? Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, I feel it.
Yeah.
How many people have abandonment issues? I'm just curious.
I think we all, yeah.
Yeah. So I applaud your courage. I applaud your courage. Thank you for being willing to do that. And let's intersect. I don't like to leave inventories hanging, so let's make sure we intersect. And thank you all so much. If you came in late, there are presents here for you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yay! Antelope Man! Cool.
All right, Antelope Man.
Okie dokie.